Hello and welcome to the Lund University International Podcast. On the show, you'll hear from current students, alumni, teachers, and many more special guests as we explore what it's really like to live and study at Lund University. My name is Tim Parker, and I am an International Communications Officer here at External Relations. All right, welcome into the studio today for another episode of the Lund University International Podcast, where we're talking about living in Malmö as an international student. And we have a very special guest here with us today who is actually living in Malmö, so that's perfect. Take it away.
Hi everyone, my name is Kim. Thanks so much for having me here. I came here as a student from Germany, but I spent the last 8 years in New Zealand to do my undergrad, and now I'm here at Lund University to study environmental science and sustainability.
Fantastic. And where are you from originally, Kim?
I'm originally from Hamburg in northern Germany.
Nice. And we were just talking about before the pod how there's actually quite a lot of German students here in Lund.
There are indeed. When I moved here, when I spent my first half a year in Lund, I was quite surprised how many Germans I heard in the streets, not just, of course, a lot of Swedes and English, but also a lot of German.
Nice. Fantastic. And we're talking about living in Malmö today, which is perfect. So just for those people out there that don't know too much about Malmö, it's Sweden's third largest city, and it's located about a 10 or 15-minute train ride away from Lund. And of course, living in Lund as an international student is a very awesome experience, but we do have students and staff who choose to live in Malmö as well. So Kim, you used to live in Lund for a few months first when you came, right?
Yes, so the first half a year, the first semester, I lived in Lund, really close to the university, which was great. And I had a room in a shared apartment there. And then at the end of my first semester, I decided to move to Malmö, where I now live in a small apartment together with my partner.
Nice, perfect. And just for the record, I, as a staff member, also live in Malmö, so we should be pretty well educated to talk about the city. So, all right, so how does it compare living in Malmö compared to living in Lund, Kim?
To me, the benefit of living in Lund was obviously being close to the university, but I quite appreciate having a bit of distance on the weekends and being surrounded by a whole different bunch of people and having access to all the museums and the parks here in Malmö. So, yeah, to me, it's just having a different environment to what I have during the day.
Nice. Yeah, I can actually relate to that as well. So I think Lund is really a very compact, very beautiful university town, but it's not as large as Malmö, right? So there's just a few more things going on, and you're kind of outside of the universe of Lund when you live in Malmö a little bit, right?
Especially because I live very close to the city center, so there are heaps of pubs and different restaurants and parks and sort of cultural events there are more of those in Malmö than there are in Lund, I think. So even when I was living in Lund, I would often go to Malmö on the weekends to go either to the parks, museums, exhibitions and those kind of things. So
nice.
I really like that about moving to Malmö, that I was just closer to this. Yeah.
Cool. There is a lot of culture there in Malmö, really. As you mentioned, a lot of cafes, galleries, concerts, sport also to really get stuck into. So do you have any favorite locations or any special things you'd like to do?
I live really close to Folkets Park.
Okay.
And I really like walking through there. I think it's one of the oldest parks actually in Sweden, as far as I know. And right now they have the ice rink there for Christmas, and they've installed, I think it's called Vinterdröm, so Winter Dream, I think, or Winter Wonderland, which is really lovely to walk around, and it has quite a magical Christmas vibe.
Nice, magical Christmas vibe. Okay, that means a lot coming from someone from Germany.
Yes.
You guys are known for your amazing winter Christmas
markets.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Perfect. Yeah, okay. And also the Vinterdröm, in previous years I've seen it where they've had to have fake snow, but this year there's actual real snow here in southern Sweden, so that's even cozier.
Yeah, it's really lovely. I was there on the weekend, and I think they finished setting everything up 2 days before the snow hit. So it was really lovely to walk through there with some of the maybe like fake snow trees, but also the real snow. So and the ice rink, and it was really lovely
Nice.
to walk around.
Did you have a go at ice skating?
Not yet, but it's the plan for hopefully next weekend. Fingers crossed that we get more snow.
Nice. Yeah, I'm thinking about it now, and I haven't actually been ice skating there either. I get a little bit afraid of losing my balance. And I'm thinking of Folkets Park now as well. They have they have screen football matches there in the summer, and it's kind of like a meeting point for that part of Malmö in a way, I guess.
I think in summer, when you go there in summer, there's always something going on, whether it's someone singing or doing music or some kind of improv as well. So yeah, there's always something going on either there or in the other parks, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And there is a lot of fantastic parks in Malmö. There's Pildammsparken as well, which is like popular with runners. You always see people running through there.
Yes, there are always lots of runners when you're there.
Yeah, and even in the colder months, sometimes the lake freezes over, and there's people out there as well. So there's a lot of great parks in Malmö, I would say as well. And I was going to ask you this a little bit later, Kim, but I'm thinking about it now because we're talking about Folkets Park and that area. So that is quite close to Triangeln station. So is that how you commute to Lund?
Yes. So I live about 5 to 7 minutes bike ride south of Triangeln. So every morning I bike to Triangeln, leave my bike there, then catch the train that runs every, I would say, 5 minutes. So it doesn't matter if you miss one because there will be another. It's really easy to commute that way. And then I get on the train at Triangeln, and then it takes me about, I'd say, I think 18 to 20 minutes to get to Lund.
Yeah.
And from there, I then walk to my university buildings, which is another 10 minutes.
Okay, great.
So really easy.
Yeah, exactly. So no stress at all, really, to get to class. And yeah, you said a train comes every 5 minutes. That's just a really great summary of how efficient the train systems are here in southern Sweden. They're running all the time, and when you're coming back, I guess you just walk down to the station and get on a train, right? You almost don't even need to check when a train is going to leave. Awesome. And fun fact now about Malmö, because you mentioned that you cycle to Triangeln, and we always talk about how Lund is a fantastic place for cyclists, but Malmö was actually officially ranked the 6th most cyclable city in the world. I'm not sure I know Copenhagen and Amsterdam are a little bit above, but Malmö is really in that category. So there's cycle lanes everywhere, right?
Yes, and they're separated from the road traffic. So it feels really safe to bike at any time of day. And there's usually street lights, so it feels really safe. And the cycle paths are actually wide enough to bike with people beside you or passing you. So it doesn't feel crowded.
Nice. Yeah, that's really good to hear. And as we always say to all our international students, the first thing you get when you come to Lund probably should be a bike.
Yes.
So no matter if you live in Lund or Malmö, you're going to need one.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
And you can take them on the train if you have to. If you have to bike somewhere in Lund that day, you can always take it on the train as well.
Perfect. That's nice to hear. And I know also it depends really where in Malmö you live, but I know also that some other students or staff who live closer to the Varnhem area, and if they're working or studying up at LTH, they actually take the bus because that's a little bit quicker. But for anyone living around Malmö's central station or Triangeln, then the train's definitely your best option.
Yes, definitely.
And there is also a slightly newer, more developed part of the city around like Västra Hamnen and Malmö Central, which you can get to quite easily by bike as well, right?
Definitely. Yeah. So from us, it's about, I think, 15 minutes to get to Västra Hamnen, which is really lovely to walk around on the weekend. And last year, some people, I think, even saw the Northern Lights from there in the middle of winter when it was really dark, and we went out there as well.
Oh,
so
nice.
Which was lovely. Yeah.
Okay, so you were one of the ones who actually knew it was coming and you went out to see it. Okay.
Yes, we knew it was coming, but I think, it was the other night before. So when we went out there, I think it was cloudy, but we will try again this year.
Nice. Okay, because I remember I just saw it on the news and I was like, oh, what was I doing the night before? But
there were a lot of people ice bathing, I guess you could say, who went in January and went for a cold dip in the sea, which is definitely an option, but I prefer to combine that with the sauna.
Nice. Yes, so that's a good point, actually. There's a fantastic sauna right by the beach in Malmö as well, which is like very warmly referred to as Kallis. So that's definitely an experience that all international students should try, going down to the sauna. Have you been there?
Yes, I have been there, and we've been there with a group of international students, and for a lot of them that was quite a new concept, quite a new idea to go to the sauna. So we all went together on a very frosty day in winter, and it was really lovely to sort of warm up, just relax, take a break from study as well, and then follow that up with a very cold dip in the sea.
Okay, so you did the dip in the ocean and then back in the sauna?
Yes,
okay.
So you repeat. We did it 3 times.
Not for the faint-hearted, but a classic Swedish experience.
Definitely.
Nice. Okay, and I mean, in the summer as well, down by the beach, Ribban and West Harbor, that whole part of Malmö comes to life, right?
It really does. Yeah. So you see families with children, you see people playing volleyball, all sorts of other sports. I think there are lots of different sports fields along the beach as well, where you can do everything, including, I think, mini golf, or just go for a really long bike ride on the cycle path that runs along the beach all the way to the Öresund Bridge, which is really lovely for a scenic day out.
Yeah, that's very true. It's like a completely different world down there in the summer. As you said, the volleyball, you can go paddle boarding, there's jet skiing, the whole beach area just is full of people sunbathing. It's a really nice place to be in those summer months. And you can see the bridge to Denmark as well.
Yes, you can.
And that's probably a topic for another pod, going over to Copenhagen. But it's right there, and it's always a nice option as well. All right. Well, you mentioned you're living in Malmö, and that's housing is always a topic that international students want to hear about. So I also live in Malmö, as I've said, and I've been an international student previously. So I think we can help our listeners a little bit here. So what's the housing situation like for you? Do you live in student housing, private housing in Malmö?
So in Malmö, I live in a rented apartment.
Okay.
Which I found online, and the reason one of the reasons I moved to Malmö is because it was easier to find an apartment there at the time than it was in Lund, and
Okay, nice.
And I found it to be a bit cheaper than finding an equivalent sized apartment in Lund as well, so that was another reason.
Okay, 2 bonuses: a little bit easier to find and a little bit cheaper as well. So, I mean, of course, for all admitted international students, we do have the housing guarantee for those non-EU students who are admitted. So they are guaranteed to be given housing in Lund as long as they apply on time. But for all other students, it's really good to know that Malmö is another option out there as well. And I'm just going to take a guess that your apartment in Malmö might be a little bit bigger than student accommodation in Lund. Is that correct?
Yes, it is a bit bigger, and it's definitely bigger than the room in a shared apartment that I had in the first semester.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, and I can really echo everything you're saying, Kim. I know from a student and also staff perspective that it is a little bit easier to find housing in Malmö just because it's a bigger city and there's a few more options. I guess the only negative side to that is you're not quite as close to class and student life. But as you said, that can also be a bonus if you want to have those other aspects of life which are not directly related to student life. All right, and Malmö also really has quite a lot of cultural diversity, as we've already mentioned. Actually, I think there's another interesting stat that only about half of the people living in Malmö were not born in Malmö. So if you're an international student or coming from another country, you're really going to find a very international atmosphere, just like Lund, I guess. And with that comes a lot of food options. So Malmö really does have quite a smorgasbord of options to choose from. Do you have some favorites?
Well, it's definitely a foodie heaven. So just, I think in the area where we live, there's an Ethiopian restaurant, Italian, there is obviously falafel. You have to mention falafel in Sweden, and just heaps of different options. I think I prefer the smaller cafes that are sort of tucked around the corner, and you find them everywhere in Malmö as well, that are just really cozy, sort of like a living room away from home when you want to get out for a while.
Nice. So go and like do some study or do some group work or some readings.
Exactly.
Nice. So I'm thinking, there is falafel spots in a lot of places in Malmö, so you really have your chance to explore those options and find your personal favorite as well. And I'm thinking of some of the cafes, maybe you're thinking of around the St. Knut area. There's some cozy ones, but I guess there's cafes everywhere as well. So I guess you really have some quite budget-friendly options as well.
There are definitely some budget-friendly options as well. So I think depending if you want to go out with friends and just hit one of the neighborhood pubs, for example, there are those. There are some more affordable restaurants. There are also, I guess, some, if you want to treat yourself, maybe after the first semester, we went out to some, like a really nice place.
Okay, great.
And to treat yourself. Yeah.
That's awesome to hear. And you find it's pretty easy still to meet up with your friends, even if some of them are living in Lund, like it's not a problem in any way?
I don't think it's a problem in any way. And a lot of them really appreciate the opportunity to come to Malmö as well. So we often meet up there, or I come to Lund, or we go to another place in between, like down to Lomma, because it's so close to the beach as well when you live in Malmö. So it's just a train ride away as well. But it's really easy to get from one place to another. I think it takes me about 40 minutes just to get to Lund, to anywhere in Lund, really. Yeah.
Nice. I mean, for those listeners out there who live in a bigger city, that's just like commuting from one part of a large city to the next. Yeah, I think it's really hard to overemphasize how well-organized Swedish public transport is. I mean, everything's very sustainable as well. You can just get on your bike, go straight to the train station, and then get to class very easily.
And there are a lot of alternative options as well, depending where in Lund you want to go. Sometimes you might want to catch one of the buses, which will be quicker, but it always means that there are different options to choose from. So if you can't make it to the train for some reason, you can always catch the bus instead, and they're really just as well connected as the trains.
Perfect. And now I have another question about living in Malmö as an international student for you, Kim. So I'm thinking, are there any language barriers when you're trying to get around in Malmö or get set up in Malmö? How have you found that experience?
I have had absolutely no language barriers living there, and I found that it doesn't matter whether it's at the shops or whether it's interacting with the municipality or any kind of public agency, that everyone speaks English and really fluently, that there have been absolutely no issues. Also, when you have to file some forms or apply for your personnummer, which all of you will, that's really easy to do it in English.
Okay, great. That's really good to hear, because Lund, of course, is a university town very focused on the university. So it's really nice to know that if you live in Malmö, or even if you live in a smaller town outside of Lund, that you're not going to have those issues.
And it's the same with getting around. I've noticed that on all the trains, at all the train stations, they have the announcement in English as well. So if something is cancelled or you have to change to a different track, they announce this in English as well. So you're not just going to be stranded there, not knowing what they're saying on the intercom.
Fantastic. Yeah, and another fun fact as well, Triangeln and Malmö Central stations are super modern. I'd actually never seen such a modern train station before in my life until I came. I mean, you're from Germany, so you've probably seen...
They're definitely clean. I found that all the public transport, like the stations, the bus stops, it's all really clean. You don't really... In some other cities outside of Sweden, you might see like glass or a lot of rubbish, but here I find it super clean and it feels really safe.
Good, really good to know. And it's actually not too far down to northern Germany by the public transport as well, right? So Malmö is really like a kind of gateway as well to the rest of Europe. So you mentioned the Ottersunds Bridge. It's only about 40 minutes over there to Copenhagen, and then down to the cities in northern Germany, like Hamburg. It's only about how long?
I think it's about 6.5 hours. So you first take the Ottersunds talk across to Copenhagen. From there's a non-stop train that run straight to Hamburg, which is super easy.
Perfect. And so we're actually just as close to Hamburg here in the south of Sweden as we are to Stockholm, basically.
Yes.
Nice. That's another another huge bonus for international students, like traveling around, summer activities. Have you had any good summer tip activities for those students listening out there?
I think definitely getting out into the Swedish countryside, whether it's to the national parks. There's Söderåsen, which is not far from Lund or Malmö, or going up to Stockholm and exploring the city and Gothenburg as well. So just getting out, seeing more of Sweden is definitely my main recommendation.
Nice. That's really good to hear. All right, so Kim, were there any final tips that we haven't covered today about living in Malmö as an international student?
I think we covered it all.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for coming in today, Kim. And I really hope that for those students, future students out there listening, that we gave some insightful info about living in Malmö. So thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Lund University International Podcast. If you're interested in learning more about Lund University, you can go to our website, lunduniversity.lu.se. You can also follow us on social media, on Instagram, Facebook, and X, and you can chat with current students on UniBuddy. Don't forget to subscribe, and we look forward to bringing you a new episode very soon.